Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first Pest Control Officer webinar of the 2022 season. My name is Colleen Fennig, the Plant Health Officer for SARM Division 6, and I will be the moderator for this webinar. A few housekeeping rules before we get started. All attendees will be muted for the duration of the webinar. If you have any questions, please type them into the chat box. We will have a question and answer session after the two presentations are finished. This webinar is eligible for continuing education credits for pesticide applicators. If there is more than one person watching from the same computer that wants continuing education credits for this webinar, please contact Betty Johnson. Her contact information is located within the chat box, or you can find it on the SARM website. This webinar will be recorded and posted on the SARM website within the next couple of weeks. The first presentation regarding recertification using continuing education credits will be presented by Kevin Patrick from Saskatchewan Polytech. The second presentation regarding Pest Control Officer forms will be presented by Grant Peeling, the Rat Control Technical Advisor for SARM Divisions 1, 2, and 3. So on that note, let's get started. Take it away, Kevin.
Thank you, Colleen. Hi, everyone. Glad you could make it today. Perfect day not to be outside doing anything else. So with that, we'll get started. My name is Kevin Patrick. I'm the program coordinator at Saskatchewan Polytechnic. We do some agriculture programming, mainly focusing on the pesticide education training. That's what we really focus on, just a small amount of other ag programming that we do. And with the pesticide training, what we're trying to accomplish is meet the requirements of the Saskatchewan Pest Control Products Act, requiring people who apply pesticides to be licensed, and that's where we come in. We are the training body. The Ministry of Agriculture is the licensing body. So with that, I just wanted to mention who you'll be dealing with. I'm the instructor coordinator. We also have other instructors. We contract to do live courses. Arla McLeod has been with us for quite a while. Many of you have probably spoken with Arla if you have any questions about pesticide training. And Lindsay Bartel is working with us as well. She was just hired here a couple months ago. Arla handles a lot of the people requesting information. She handles the calls. Lindsay is focusing mainly on tracking the continuing education credits. She handles our database and updates any of the CEC events and adds the CECs so that we can track them and provide you with the information you need. So that's basically what we do, and we're located in Regina. That's our main office, but Sask Polytech, we essentially are province-wide now. So with that, with pesticide applicator training, you initially have to certify and start as a new applicator, and then as part of the Pest Control Products Act, you have to recertify your training every 5 years. That's a requirement if you want to stay current and have the ability to obtain a pesticide applicator license. And you can do that recertification by writing a recertification exam, and I'm sure many of you have done that. And you can also recertify by accumulating continuing education credits. And that's mainly what we're going to discuss today, all the different requirements and the processes in getting these continuing education credits. So either choice is available to you to recertify your training. We have continuing education credits available in 6 pesticide license categories only. They're not available for all of the license categories. And the ones they are available for are the structural applicator, special rat control applicator, industrial vegetation applicator, aerial applicator, greenhouse, and landscape. Those are the 6 license categories where you can accumulate CECs. And you may ask, well, why don't we have them for all the different license categories? Well, a lot of these CECs are driven by the industry. We record them and we help wherever we can, but in reality, we need an organization from the industry to sort of take the lead and promote these CECs. And it boils down to that there isn't a lot of events in some of the other license categories to warrant having a CEC program, or the license category is just, there's not enough applicators to have a critical mass to make it viable. So that's the ones we have now. The structural, special rat, and aerial have been around for quite a long time. We've brought along the industrial vegetation a number of years ago, and then greenhouse and landscape have just recently been added. And when I say recently, I mean in approximately the last 5 years. That's when we've been using CECs for those ones as well. And it's a bit challenging to get enough events so that people can recertify, or they get frustrated with the program. I have to say the structural, special rat, aerial, and industrial vegetation is coming along very well. They all have a lot of events available so that there is enough events to warrant you pursuing that route to recertify, to attend these events and get these continuing education credits. So what are these continuing education credits? Well, it's rather than writing the same or similar recertification exam every 5 years, I'm not sure if that really helps you that much. So these continuing education credits are presentations at seminars, conferences, training sessions. They have to be approved, and you have to send them into our program. There is a approval committee that we distribute them to and get these presentations approved. But essentially, they are presentations at any of these things, conferences, and they're probably much more beneficial to you rather than writing the exam. You'll whether it's networking with other applicators, learning new types of application technology or pest management techniques, anything like that. We find these are valuable. The feedback we've had from applicators that it's much more valuable than writing the exams. So when you attend these sessions, make sure you sign in. If they're in-person ones like we had previously to the pandemic, or the online ones as well, they will record that you attended it. And then once you attend these and it's recorded, you accumulate these continuing education credits. We track them. We have a database set up. We receive the sign-in sheets after. Lindsay will enter them into the database, and then we have a record of what you have attended, and if you have enough credits to recertify. So some examples, presentations at annual meetings and conferences, national conferences as well are quite common for us to approve. Applied training provided by industry organizations as well can qualify for continuing education credits. I believe your group has put on like workshops throughout the year, and those have qualified for continuing education credits. Online webinars do qualify as well. And with the pandemic, we've had quite a move to a lot of online webinars due to that fact. A few other ones that you may not be as familiar with. Safety courses can qualify as well. We've approved first aid in the past. WHMIS itself isn't required for pesticide products. However, we have approved WHMIS courses because a lot of the safety information and labeling in WHMIS is identical to the pesticide labels, so we have given credit for those in the past. Approved conferences in other provinces. A lot of you may not think about that one. If Alberta or Manitoba has a provincial conference, we've approved a lot of those as well. Some of the things that may not apply is the specific provincial legislation. If it's specific to only the other provinces, it would not apply, but the national legislation sure does. Online, live, and recorded seminars. This one that we're holding today would be considered a live seminar. It's going to be recorded as well, but if you view it after because you couldn't attend it, then it's a recorded seminar. If you're viewing it today, it's a live seminar. A couple examples of providers of these online seminars. PD Solutions is one example, and Univar have put a lot of courses online, and we've approved those in the past. They're not the only providers, but there's just a couple examples. And your organization will be a provider of recorded seminars as well. We have a bit of a change in the recorded seminars for CECs, and I've got a slide on it further down in the PowerPoint, and we'll discuss that a little later. So what are the requirements for CECs? Well, you have to accumulate 15 continuing education credits, CECs for short, in the 5-year recertification period, from when you last recertified your training until it is due again. And that 5-year period, you have to accumulate 15 continuing education credits. And you can accumulate a maximum of 10 in 1 year. So if you leave it till the last year and you're expecting to get all the credits in 1 year, that's not gonna work. So you have to plan it a bit, at least a few years ahead of time. There are minimum requirements in specific concept areas as well. There are requirements that you have to meet, which I'll talk about in a second here, but it's a total of 15 in the 5-year period. And a credit, generally our guidelines are a presentation of about 1 hour qualifies for 1 CEC. If it's dealing with a topic, over an hour period will allot a CEC to it. If it's longer, we can allot more CECs. Like if you have a full day training program, it may be quite a number of CECs in 1 day. And one thing we try to avoid is partial CECs. Like a 30-minute presentation, we really try and avoid a 0.5 of a CEC because it's not really helpful. You need 15, achieving 14 and a half or 15 and a half really doesn't help at all. So that's one we do avoid. So we have all these different concept areas. These have been established. Other provinces use the same ones. This program is used in other provinces as well. Alberta uses it, substantially. Manitoba is just sort of coming online with this one, with this program. They just have, I believe, one license category right now where they use CECs for recertification. So these concept areas require 2 continuing education credits. We need 2 credits in regulations. You need 2 in human health and safety, 2 in pest management, and 2 in application technology. And that's in your 5-year recertification period. You have to achieve 2 credits in each of those. And then in the environment concept area, 1 credit is required. You need at least 1 in the environment concept area. And so there's other concept areas. General information, I believe today's presentation is general information. And what is that? It's just kind of stuff that really doesn't apply to the other ones, or it's a mixture of presentations like we're doing today. So that will qualify under general information. Labels and material data sheets is another concept area. Emergency response, something like CPR first aid would qualify in that one. And professionalism is another concept area. There's no minimum requirements in these concept areas, but we encourage that you do get some CECs in these areas if possible. So that's the different concept areas, and I'll give you an example here. Here's a credit report. This is out of our database, and I don't have anyone's name in there. We just have sample credit report. But on the top, you can see the different concept areas. General information, regulations requires a minimum of 2, labels, human health and safety 2, environment 1, pest management 2, application technology 2, emergency response and professionalism. And then on the left-hand side are the events that took place, and we record them. We put them in there, and then if we have to look up how many CECs you have, this is where we go. We go to our database and we draw a report, and we can see how many CECs you do have. And but you have to meet the minimum requirements in the concept areas. Even if you exceed 15 credits, you're required to meet those minimum requirements. And there are CECs available online. Like I mentioned, PD Solutions and Univar are 2 that we are quite familiar with, and they have seminars on all the time. So you can sign up with them. If you're short 1 CEC in environment, you can just sign up with them, take their online seminar, and you meet the minimum requirements, and then you're able to recertify your training. So we find this program can be very beneficial. Learning new information, reviewing information, rather than writing the exam. And a lot of you, it's not a big deal, but some people really try and avoid writing the exam if they can as well. So, okay, so what's the process involved for recertification using CECs? Well, you accumulate your 15 CECs in your 5-year period and meet the minimum requirements in the concept areas. So that's kind of on your own. I'll have to say the Pest Control Officers Association has done a fantastic job with their workshops, their annual meetings to cover all the concept areas and provide CECs so that you can recertify. So once you have that, you still have to register with us. We, with SAS Polytech, we go through a process called prior learning assessment and recognition. So essentially what we're doing is we're giving you credit for the recertification course and exam by attending these events. We actually have this PLAR, or prior learning and assessment and recognition, is not only with our program, it's all throughout SAS Polytech. in a lot of the programs. So we actually have a PLAR office. We send the information to them, they review it, they okay it that you meet the requirements of the recertification course, and then we're able to issue your statement of achievement, just in the same manner as if you had written the recertification exam. So that's how it all works. I'm actually going to, in a second here, I'll mention it. And then once you receive your statement of achievement, you have to provide a copy to the Ministry of Agriculture, pesticide licensing area at the Ministry of Agriculture. With your pesticide applicator license renewal form, when you send in your renewal, you'll have to provide a copy of your statement of achievement. Like I mentioned before, we are the training body. The Ministry of Agriculture is the licensing body. There is another step involved to get your actual license. And then you receive your pesticide license, and you're good to go for another year, and you'd have to renew your license after another year, or a 5-year license, whichever you choose. But your training is good for 5 years. It's good for 5 years. We do have a bit of a grace period. I want to mention that as well. If your 5-year period is up, you still can recertify your training with us for a period of time. Maximum of 1 year after your training expires, we allow you to recertify. If it exceeds that, then you're going to have to start again as a new applicator. We try and encourage people, if they're going to recertify, to do it within 2 or 3 months of their training expiration date. But for certain circumstances, things that can't be controlled, we do allow a 1-year grace period. So I want to drill down a little further into our registration process, because it's a little different than just registering for a pesticide course or any course at SAS Polytech for that matter. Because you have to accumulate these credits to recertify your training, you have to get approval from the program area, from us, before enrollment services at SAS Polytech will register you. They won't register you unless they get an approval from us, because they don't want you registering for this PLAR registration if you don't have enough credits. You won't be happy, and we want to make sure everything runs smoothly. So that's the process. So the first thing you need to do is just call us. Call the Pesticide Education Program. That's Arla, Lindsay, or myself. We will check on your credits. Make sure you have enough to recertify. Make sure you meet all the minimums in the concept areas. And once we've done that, we will send you a PLAR registration form. It's just similar to our course registration forms, but we'll send that out to you to fill out. And then you complete that form, and you just send it back to the program area. Email it back to us, and we will approve it. Once it's approved, we send it to enrollment services, and they register you in, we call it a course. It's a PLAR course, because that's how we differentiate at SAS Polytech. We call them courses, but technically it's not really a training course. We're putting you there so we can make sure you meet the requirements and then issue your statement of achievement. There is a fee to pay, a recertification fee, just like if you had written the exam or if you recertify using CECs. We're just basically at SAS Polytech, we try and cover our operating costs. That's all we do. So there is a fee to pay, and to be honest with you, it's a lot. There's more work involved for us with the CEC program than if you had written the exam. But once it's in place, then it runs smooth. It works well. But there is a bit of work to get this up and running. And once you've sent that form back to us, enrollment services will register you. You will be contacted to pay the registration fee. And they will just contact you, pay the registration fee. Currently, the registration fee is $150 to go through this process. And then once all that's taken care of, we issue your statement of achievement. Like I mentioned before, the same way as if you had written the exam. And then you use it to renew your license. So currently, we're issuing statements of achievement electronically. We're sending them out by email because of the pandemic. We're actually still working remotely. We're not back in the office at SAS Polytech. Just the courses and the programs that really need face-to-face contact are back. We almost made it back in January, but then with the Omicron variant, that was postponed. So we're actually still working remotely. So how do you find out about CECs? The best place to call is the Pesticide Education Program. That's us. And that's our direct line. Arla handles those calls, or she passes them on to one of us if she's not here. But that's the direct line, 775-7473. There's a toll-free number to call SAS Polytech to and be transferred. I didn't put it on here. If you're able to call us directly, that's probably the best. It's 1-866-GO-SCIAST. It's the GO-SCIAST acronym. So if you have any questions, want to know about your CECs, just give us a call and we will help you out. One thing I do want to mention, we had a recent change to the CEC Recertification Program. Previously, our guideline was, and other provinces were following it as well, we had a maximum number of recorded webinars that you could use to recertify. Right now, we've increased it to 10. So you can accumulate up to 10 recorded webinars. And recorded webinars, you can get them through, like I mentioned, PD Solutions. This one we're providing today, it's a recorded one. And so it's live when you're watching it right now, but it will be recorded for people who can't attend, and that would classify as a recorded session. So we're currently at 10, and we brought that into place because of the pandemic. We've had to move to so many online webinars and events. We've increased it to 10. Other provinces have done the same. We've worked with other provinces. It's in place for 2022, and we'll review it at the end of 2022 and decide where it'll be at. Previously, the maximum number of recorded ones was only 2 per your recertification period. In all honesty, it hardly ever, I don't know if we ever ran into a problem with it, because most people attended live events or live webinars, but right now it's at 10. And I think we'll likely, once the pandemic's over, we will change it back, but I don't believe we're going to probably go down to 2. That seems a little too low. We probably will be somewhere in between. So, and we work with the Ministry of Agriculture on this. They're the regulatory body. It's kind of whatever they agree to. So I'll blame it on Richard. Any of you know Richard over at the ministry. So one quick thing to mention as well, I think this might interest you. I'm part of the National Pesticide Education and Training Committee. We have representation from training bodies and regulatory bodies all across Canada. We also have representation from PMRA, Pest Management Regulatory Agency under Health Canada. And we meet monthly. We have a video conference monthly, and we try and have an annual meeting online as well. And what we do is we develop standards for pesticide training and for manuals. And then we use those standards, we call them modules, and it's the outline of the knowledge requirements. We work through them, we review them, and we set them so that all of us are on the same page when it comes to writing manuals and providing training. So all the provinces are writing the same type of material, if I want to put it that way. So it's a very good committee. We've moved one step further. So rather than just developing the outlines to write the manuals, we've actually started working together to develop national manuals, national pesticide manuals, which we share. Not all provinces use them. Some of them do. Saskatchewan, we use a number of them right now. The aerial manual is a national manual. Our core manual, the safety and legislation, is a national manual. Mosquito and biting fly. So that's really just to become more efficient and use our resources in a more efficient manner, rather than all of us writing manuals. When it comes to a lot of the information, the prairie provinces, it's virtually the same in each province when it comes to a lot of pest management. So the reason I mention that is we have two manuals on the go now that would directly affect you. The National Structural Manual. I was actually on the subcommittee to develop this one, and it is essentially done. We're just waiting for French translation so it can be released. And as soon as that occurs, we'll have a new national structural manual. And it's a very good manual, quite in depth. And it should be, I'm not going to really give you a timeline on that. I'm not sure. I was hoping it would be ready already. I'm hoping it's ready for the spring season, the applicator season. But with the pandemic, we work with PMRA, and that's under Health Canada. So a lot of our resources and our committee members have been seconded to do other things with the pandemic because it is under health. So we haven't got as much done in the last couple of years as we would have liked, put it that way. And another one that's, I believe it's virtually done, I wasn't on this committee, but is a National Industrial Vegetation Manual as well. And again, I believe they're just finishing up a bit of the formatting, and it'll go for translation, and we will be using it in Saskatchewan. We'll be using both of these. And as soon as the structural is available, the Special Rat Control Manual, it's not a national standard. These ones are national standards. Special Rat Control is a provincial manual. It's a Saskatchewan one. We will update that one as well. We'll take the national structural, and along the same guidelines, we will take the material and update the Special Rat Control Manual as well. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, and that's it. That's all I have. I hope that was helpful. I will be around for any questions. I believe Colleen had mentioned to add them to the chat, and at the end of the of Grant's presentation, we will review the questions and provide any answers that you require. So thank you very much for attending, and I hope you have a good day.
Thank you, Kevin. Now just bear with me while I try to change presenters to Grant. But you'll have to unmute yourself, Grant. Okay, there we go. Thank you. Oh,
there we go. Okay, can you see the screen? Can you hear us?
oh, sorry. Yes, I guess I had to unmute myself first.
Yeah, sorry. All right.
Go ahead.
So the presentation's up. We're gonna pass it to Grant, and we'll start the presentation now.
Hello, everyone. I'll run over a little bit of this year's the participation in the RAT program at 276 RMs. As of today, there's some more coming, or 93%. The total inspections are 67,510. Total of all inspections are 77,902. The total infestation for the province was down to 1,007, or 1.49%. It was 2.88% in 2018, so things are looking good. Another thing, in other years, I've had to go audit the RMs because the forms came in wrong. And this year I haven't got one. So that's a big plus. I don't get to drive around and talk to you guys. So on the outline of the webinar, what will be discussed in this webinar: RAT program, refresher, forms, door hangers, warning signs, rat infestation report, PCO inspection for RCP, claim forms, and those are the ones that came in right for the first time. Door hangers, those are the ones you hang on the door with nobody's home. They're used for identification. The door hanger should have your name on it, phone number, and any instructions you would have for them. I have a stamp made up to stamp these, which makes it a lot easier than writing one every time you call, because that's a lot of writing, and I never was that good at writing, I guess. Rat warning signs, these are on the outside of a building that you place bait in. The name of the bait, the PCP number, and quantity needed to be filled out, along with pest control officer's name and telephone number. And that you can use your stamp on again if you have one made up. That's the warning sign that you go with your different bait that you use, PCP number, and how much you use, quantity, and pest control officer, RM, and telephone number. And you can change the inspection date if you're there 2, 3, 4 times to keep it going. Rat infestation report. You need to put the RM number in, RM name and number, the date, the owner, and phone number. And on this here is just the home quarter that you do, where they live. And here, very important, make sure you put an X on this, that you're all lands owned or controlled by the above owner. Then if you run into a place with rats 10 miles away down the road, you've got this form signed, you can do your thing there without going back all that way to get his permission. The type of operation, type of contact, you check one of them. And the only time that you watch out for this is if you run into a place that grain bins are one farmer across the road from another one, make sure you notify the one that lives across the road that there is rats there and you have baited across the road from a residential site. Oh. And then under the signature of occupant, if you can't get the occupant to sign, can't find him, he lives in Toronto or whatever, the Reaver administrator can sign it and you can sign it. Rat infestation report, I just went through. This is what you need to have done. Make sure you have that check mark on it though. Inspection report. This gives the information required for the grant for the RCP program. The main infestation information we need for the grant is the number of vacant and occupied sites and the infestation index. 0 is rat-free, 1 is infested, and 2 is preventative baiting. Under 0 is rat-free, 1 infested, and you only mark 1 down when you see a rat, fresh signs, you're 100% sure that there's rats there. If you're just baiting because there maybe could be or whatever reason you're just putting bait out, mark 2 down as being preventative baiting, that you're not sure that totally sure that there is a rat problem at this site. PCO inspection reports, the RM, the number for the month. And this, I use one of these every day. And they need the date, the name of the company, occupant. If you got it, it's fine. If not, it doesn't make that much difference. If I come to audit, I'm not worried about that because by the time an RM gets a map made up, they're outdated. There's always changes. So that doesn't make much difference. Vacant or occupied, we need to know that. And the location, the land number. You need the land number on every one. That's very important because it doesn't change. Owners change, but that doesn't. And if you've got any, want to write anything down, rat-free, seen spilled grain at the granary, bale stacks, signs of rats, whatever, you write it in there. And then rat infestation index. This is the one that there's been a lot of trouble over the year. 0 is rat-free, 1 is infested, and 1 only when you actually see them or see fresh signs, fresh gnawing, footprints in the snow, in the mud, and all the rest are just preventative baiting. And then your different baits that you use, you can change the top, warfare and dry bait. You can put down the 3 baits that you're using. And these gives you what they're at, the RM name and number, your name and license number, occupied sites, vacant sites, total sites, total active infestations, only sites with fresh signs or sightings, not all sites that you bait, just the ones that you actually know that are fresh signs. This is the one that the RM sends in at the end of the year to get the grant. And these first 5 numbers, I strongly recommend that you PCOs fill this out. Most of the mistakes that come in are from somebody else reading your writing and not putting down what you meant to put down. The RM name and number, your name, the appointed pest control officer's name, and this can be different on certain circumstances, and the license number. This is the one, these 4 things are what you need to have filled out, because you're the only one that knows occupied sites inspected, vacant sites inspected, total sites inspected. Well, those are the easy ones. Total active infestations. This is the one where it gets tricky. You only want to, this only has the number that you see rats or active signs of rats. And this is a province-wide is 1.49%. So if you have 100 infestations province-wide, it should be 1.5, 1, 2. And then here in the total of all inspections for the year, that's what, with all your callbacks, re-inspections, and put in here. And then you take it to the administrator, your RM administrator, to fill out the rest of it. Points to remember when you're using RCP forms, things to consider are you recording all the information for the RCP grant? Are the forms signed appropriately? Now, there's things that the RM needs for the grant, and there's other things that your RM specifically requires you to do. So you need to have all that information on your worksheets daily. Whoopee. Questions? I'm the technical advisor for 1, 2, 3. Colette Melanchuk is for division 4, 5, and 6. That's our email, our phone number. If you have any questions, my cell phone is on me all the time. You might catch me at Timbuktu, but I'm available. So if you have any questions, you can write them in now, and I'll turn it back to somebody that knows what you're doing.
Okay, Colleen here. At the moment, we have no questions, so you guys did a fantastic job. I am trying to, or Kevin, can I get you to unmute yourself just in case we do get a question in? So yeah, no questions.
We did get an email earlier today, so we could answer those questions.
Okay, sure, that sounds great. One of the questions was, where does one order the door hangers? So, Grant, do you know that answer?
You order them from SARM.
Okay, and what we can try to do is get a specific web page for that person who asked that question and pass it along, so you don't
Yeah,
have to.
just go to your administrator and they can order it from SARM. The door hangers, the warning signs, door hangers, and the poison sign. They can order from SARM. The worksheets and that can't be ordered anymore. The infestation report has to be taken off the computer and photocopied.
Okay, I figured out how to get some of the questions, but none of them are relevant. Just people having no video or someone letting us know who is in an RM office. We're watching, multiple people watching at a single RM office. So that was under the question. Okay, well, I mean, you can always email your plant health officer if you have any questions that are not coming to mind at the moment, and we can forward them on to Grant or Colette or Kevin Patrick, who's ever the most specific person to answer that question. And if not, I just want to thank everybody for attending. We will forward the attendance list on to the most appropriate person in the Kevin's office. And yeah, thank you so much, and have a.
We
Yes?
have a question.
Okay.
I got a question from Prince Albert. Most of the recommendation is for you to check the RM twice a year. For the grant requirement is once a year, but it's recommended that you do it 2 times a year with callbacks. But to get the grant is it's done at least once a year.
And that's inspections.
Yeah, inspections, PCO inspections. All right, I'm done.
Okay, so we got some more questions coming in. Kevin, and I have unmuted you. Can CEC events be self-reported after the event? For example, first aid courses.
Okay. We do try and make sure the events are approved prior to the event, but in some instances, we've actually approved events after, especially if they've been approved in other jurisdictions. One example is a national pest conference in the United States. We've approved that one, but it had been previously approved there prior to that. So once someone attended it, then they realized they should have put in a request to get an approval for the session. So we're quite forgiving. If you have an event, make sure and contact us, and we'll see what we can do.
Thank you, Kevin. As I was trying to get this program, first-time moderator and technophobe, we do have some more, but I didn't hear the one that Grant had answered. But so let me know if this was already answered. Do PCOs need to use SARM bait or something if it is provided by other pesticide sellers. So I guess, do you have to use the bait provided by SARM, or can you use other ones?
No, you can use any bait that's approved by the government, by Pesticide Regulatory Agency. Doesn't have to come from SARM.
Thanks, Grant. And then another question, receive or administrator signature on infestation form. Does this allow pest control officer to place bait stations? Not quite sure what that is about, but I'm not a PCO, so.
I'm a PCO, but I still know what it's about. Can you read it again?
Receive or administrator signature on infestation form. Does this allow PCO to place bait stations?
Yes, it does, as long as the administrator Reeve has signed it.
Oh, Reeve. It says receive. Okay, my bad. I could have corrected that if I understood about PCO stuff. So my bad. Okay, I'm glad that you could answer that. And if anyone has other questions, definitely give Grant or Colette a call or email. And ooh, lots of questions coming in. Okay.
Yeah,
Is Colette's email correct? She was having some difficulties, so you might have to give her a call to find out what's happening with her email. Do we know what CEC credits for the March 23rd webinar? That is the weed one. So I believe all 3 weed webinars have credits. Yes, credits approved. How many credits are required for recertification for PCO? How do I find how many credits I have? Oh, those are the questions that were asked previously, and they have been answered in the presentation. So I'm just going to skip that. Is there a website that lists the courses for CECs? Kevin, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a very good question. We don't have the events posted. Initially, we thought we could do it through the Ministry of Agriculture's website, but it's really quite a task to get all those events posted, and they're not online. Best is to contact your organization or contact us if you need information in that regard.
No, thank you, Kevin. Same person was asking about the weed webinar CECs. As I mentioned, the weed webinar ones have been approved. The ones for the upcoming pest control officers are still pending. So if you want to contact your plant health officer again, closer to the time, we might know at that time if they've been approved.
For
Ben?
the CECs, sorry, Colleen, for the weed inspector webinars, the categories, the first one was general information. The second webinar is in pest management, and so is the third. That's what the CECs will be in for categories.
Thanks, Chelsea.
According to Lynn's information. So.
Okay.
I hope that helps.
When in doubt, yeah, just contact your plant health officer, and they'll get you that information as soon as they can. Where are we going? When might SARM get Werfen in? I don't know. That's oh, maybe Grant knows that.
I didn't get that.
Perfect.
When might SARM get Werfen in?
Don't hold your breath.
Okay.
It's not going to be for a while, I don't believe.
There's still supply
Okay.
chain issues.
But
All right.
they
As
should
well.
get a hold of SARM to make a definite date on that.
All right. Sounds good. Can PCOs inspect all sites, or do they have to have permission from the owner? Grant?
The legal requirements on a PCO is they can inspect all the sites, whether the homeowner's there or not. But the recommendation is that they let the homeowner know that they're going to be there, what time, and definitely that they don't do any baiting without this form signed and the homeowner's approval. I myself don't bait a farmyard where people live. It's up to get them to do it with you, or the only time I do it is when the farmer's with me.
Thanks, Grant. More questions about upcoming webinars for CECs. Again, just contact your plant health officer. They might have more information about the categories when the time comes. Another question on the spelling of Melnchuk. So again, give Colette a call when it comes, and just get her to confirm her email. And are we automatically registered for our points? I'm assuming that is Kevin's.
Yes. If you've initially taken the training, if you attend, we track it. And as long as you've registered and taken a pesticide course previously, because these are for recertification. If you've never taken a course before, they're not going to help you, because you have to take that initial training and then you can recertify. So you're automatically, there's nothing you have to do, just attend the events.
And I'd like to put in, spell your name properly, because your name might be very similar to someone else's name and you might be giving credit to someone else. And make sure that you are paying attention for the whole webinar, because if you just log in, it shows if you're not paying attention. So we don't know what's going to happen if it looks like you're not paying attention. So anyway, just a heads up on that.
You bet. And I'd like to add to that, Colleen, when we're back to in-person events, when you sign in, so it's legible. We have people that just kind of sign their name, and it can be difficult to decipher what the actual name is on the sign-in sheets. Some of you should have been doctors, the way you sign your names.
Yeah, so not a lot of time is taken to try to figure this out if it's really bad and we have a lot of names. We try our best, but we do also have our own limitations on that as well. So okay, I don't see any more questions in the question portion, and it is 1:04 now, so some of you need to get back to work. I just wanted to thank you again for attending, and we will be posting this recording as soon as we can on the SARM website. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a great day.